Good morning everyone, here we are on the 19th of March and only one video this week because let me just put that to one side. Let me just show you this. All the thread that I dyed when I was supposed to be having a week off I've now got to wind, so turning it from this to this, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing this week, and I'll be doing it next week and probably the week after as well. So it takes a while to wind all that, but anyway, there we are. It's not difficult, it's just takes time. So anyway, here we are. I've picked out a few sort of spring flower type colours, and I'm going to do something with that today. I quite like what happened yesterday, actually, which is I started off doing columns of chain stitch, and then it just struck me, what would it look like if you didn't do a full line? And I quite like it. So that came about just by kind of starting one thing and then going, what if, halfway through, and that's what happened. I quite like it. Anyway, on to today. So I thought let me just do a kind of scattered flowers pattern today, something like that. And I'm using a hand-dyed silk pearl 12 here. And I'm just kind of doing these sort of straight stitch fan shapes. This little thumb press, by the way, is something I do without thinking about it, and it's just to help the stitch settle nicely into the fabric. People sometimes say, get your thumb out of the way, I can't see what you're doing. I can't help it. It's pretty much automatic, and it just comes from years of stitching, really. So you can see I'm just scattering these around. Yellow's probably not showing up very well, is it? And it's just about 5 straight stitches. Something very cheerful about spring flowers, isn't there? Tiny bit of thread left. I think I probably want one down here, so I'm just going to skip down there along the back, just along this back edge, just to keep that flow under control. Maybe about there. Is that about right? Yes. Right, now I'm just going to do the same thing with some purpley lilac. And again, this is a silk pearl 12, but you know, DMC would be just as good. Probably 1 or 2 strands, depending on what you find comfortable. And as usual, I've got no idea what size needle this is. You don't need to know. You don't need to know needle sizes. As long as it fits your thread, it's fine. think if you were doing proper embroidery, however you define that, then you I don't know. I think even then you wouldn't necessarily need to know, but I think the purists out there would be throwing up their hands in horror. I think of this as stitching rather than embroidery. I don't know if there is a technical difference. I don't know, what do you think? Is there a difference between hand stitching and hand embroidery? This always seems much less formal to me, much less sort of, well, it is much less formal because we are very much winging it, aren't we? Well, I am. Just doodling with thread, really. And you can see I'm kind of filling in the gaps a little bit. Just thinking about what way up they are, just trying to get them all facing different ways. It's a bit like creating a scatter pattern, isn't it? If you do any kind of digital design or you know, repeat pattern design, that kind of thing. That way, I think. Probably the last one I'm going to get out of this bit of thread, isn't it? Right, just having a look at it, and I did pick out a third colour. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. I think what I'm going to do next is some little stalks. And then I'll see if anything else needs to happen. Whoops. I am having an eye test next week. I just tried to thread the pointy end then. Right, here we go. So also Silk Pearl 12. It's a kind of sort of spring green. And I'm just going to do a little, maybe I might just do a little straight stitch there. So it looks a little bit like a stem with a little leaf on it. And it's a bit of a fly stitch really, isn't it? The way that's working. And I'm trying to balance these stem shapes as well. That one next, I think. Right, just having a look at it, and I don't think that colour with it is going to do it any favours. So, not today. I do wonder whether a few little, this is a fine silk that I've got here. And again, it's one of the ones that I dye myself and I sell in my shop. The fine silk is, my fine silk is half the gauge of the silk pearl 12. So 2 strands of that would be the same as silk pearl 12. I'm just going to use 1 strand of it. And I think I might just do scatter some little knots in between those shapes. Right, so I prefer a colonial knot to a French knot. I think they sit more nicely. So that is under and over and down. And I'm just kind of placing these fairly randomly, and they probably aren't necessary in the great scheme of things. Knots are always easier in a frame, but I don't use a frame. If you have it on a flat surface, it's pretty much just as good, I find. Oh, that's quite pretty, isn't it? I think the knots was the right thing to do. Oops, we got a little loop there, never mind. That might be the last one. Let's have a look. You got any obvious gaps? No, I think that's okay. So there we go, little collection of dotted spring flowers. And of course, if it's not spring where you are, and I know this is my northern hemisphere bias as usual, if it's not spring where you are, then either save this one for the spring or do a similar pattern with autumnal or any other kind of motif. You could easily do the same thing with any kind of motif. So leaves, mushrooms or toadstools, or even, I don't know, umbrellas, whatever. Just, you know, make it up. It's all fine. So tomorrow, probably not going to do a video, although you never know your luck. Let's see how I get on with the winding. But tomorrow is the spring equinox, so I've already prepared that with a circle. And usually what I like to do with the equinox is divide it down the middle, because it's equal day and equal night. And we're heading into the light half of the year from tomorrow. So I will do something in 2 halves. And if I get to do a video, then I will, and if I can't, then I won't. It just depends how I get on with the thread winding, but I'll carry on with that today. The threads will be probably ready to be in the shop from probably next month. So I've got at least another 2 weeks winding, but you know, like I say, it's not difficult. It's just takes a while. So there we are. Have a lovely Thursday and enjoy your stitching.